Hey everyone, this is Bob here at Wirefly, and I'm here to do a review today of the Motorola Droid Pro. This is on the Verizon network. The Motorola Droid Pro is a new member of the Droid family from Motorola, and as you can see, it's got a built-in QWERTY keyboard, so it's kind of targeting business users right off the bat. But I can tell you in advance that this cell phone has some pretty impressive speed, and we're going to get around to showing that as well. First of all, just how big is this thing? When I first saw it, I thought it was really tall, and I compared it to the Samsung Fascinate, which is another Verizon phone. I thought that the Droid Pro was actually longer than the Samsung Fascinate, but as you can see here, the Fascinate is actually a little bit longer and a little bit wider than the Droid Pro. I mean, take a look at those two. So that is a good example. If you're familiar with the Fascinate, that is how big the Droid Pro is compared to the Fascinate. So it's a little less wide and a little less tall. So if you're not familiar with the Fascinate, here's what the Droid Pro looks like with a credit card. Pretty much a credit card covers the entire phone down to the keyboard. So by the way, if you want to rack up some charges, just tell them that your name is your name here. So we have the Motorola Droid Pro. This is sort of a hybrid cell phone. It's a combination Android and business phone, but it has the speed that enthusiasts like in an Android phone. So, okay, everybody looks at it and says, well, it's some sort of strange BlackBerry. Well, I brought a BlackBerry down here. Gosh, it's got an awful lot of fingerprints on that, so let me see if I can get a couple off. I brought a BlackBerry down. This is the BlackBerry Torch, which runs on AT&T. This is a slider that reveals a keyboard, and as you can see, it is much taller than, once it's slid out, it's much taller than the Droid Pro is. It has a screen that's roughly the same size, and it's got a QWERTY keyboard. Of course, the BlackBerry's, the keyboard curves a little bit, so it kind of looks like the phone is smiling at you. BlackBerries always look a little happy because of that. So that's how this compares to a BlackBerry. When the BlackBerry is folded up, it's a little bit shorter than the Droid Pro, but it's actually just about the same width. So just about the same width, but it is a little bit shorter. Of course, when it's slid open, it is much, much taller. And so that's what we have here between these two. We'll get that screen going again. Now let's talk a little bit about the Motorola Droid Pro. It's got some great specs. First of all, this is an Android 2.2 phone, and it has a 1 gigahertz processor in it. The display is a 3.1-inch LCD display with a resolution of 480 by 320 pixels. Inside, it has 2 gig of onboard RAM for storage of your files, and it has a micro SD card slot. It comes with a 2 gig micro SD card slot, but it can support up to a 32 gig micro SD card. The battery is a 1420 milliamp hour battery. Let me go ahead and take a look at the inside of the phone for you. We'll pop the back cover off. There's the battery, the 1420 milliamp hour battery. Now, this is a Verizon phone, but it has a SIM card because it is a global phone. It can be used internationally, which is another thing that enhances its business aspects of this phone. Here is the micro SD card. As I said, it comes with a 2 gig micro SD card. There's a little catch there for the micro SD card that you have to press before you can pop it out. So that's what's under the cover. As you can see now that I'm looking at the back, it has a 5 megapixel camera with a flash. Now, as I said, it's a 5 megapixel camera. It only does standard definition video. It does not do HD video like many other camcorders in cell phones these days. One terrific feature of this is it will work as a 3G mobile hotspot. All you have to do is go to your apps by touching this middle button here, and right there is the 3G mobile hotspot button. Touch it, follow the steps, and away you go. So if I tip it up like this, it'll roll that around. Now when I got the Motorola Droid Pro, it was set so that it would not align the screen when you rotated the phone. So I had to go into that setting and adjust that so that it will go ahead and automatically adjust. So that's the 3G mobile hotspot. All I need to do at this point is touch it and it'll talk me through setting this phone up as a 3G mobile hotspot. Now this is a 3G phone, not a 4G phone. However, I have gotten speeds as high as 2.2 megabits per second when I've tested this phone, and I haven't tested it all that much. A couple of the other things, of course, this is a standard Android phone. You can do the sort of things that you can do on any Android phone. I have my Gmail set up so that it goes right to my Gmail account, and I see that I've got an email waiting for me there. I have my Office calendar set up. This is my Office Outlook calendar already set up, and I have other widgets that tell me what the weather is in this area. It has a great navigation feature. This is Google Maps navigation. Touch it once, and all you have to do is press this and you can speak your destination. Find Burger King. Now it's going to go ahead and churn and find me the nearest Burger King. Here's a list of the Burger Kings in my area. All I need to do is to touch one of those and it will give me the map to get to that Burger King. Tells me it's about 4 miles away. So it's a very easy phone to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run the quadrant test because I've gotten a very impressive score. I've talked about the fast speeds of this phone. So I'm going to run the quadrant test. Now I'm going to wait until I get the results of this test before I come back because it puts a lot of things on the screen and it takes some time. But I'm going to go ahead and run the quadrant test and we'll see what we get, and I'll come back when I have the results. Okay, we're getting ready to wrap up the quadrant speed performance test. Quadrant is my preferred performance testing application, and I downloaded it from the Google Android apps library of applications, and there's a lot of great stuff out there. Okay, do I want to proceed with my test? I certainly do. Now, I don't know if you can see that. I think you can. It says that this just scored a 1504 in the quadrant test. That beats out the Nexus 1 running 2.2, and that is a very, very fine score. It's within a stone's throw of some of the fastest phones that are tested right out of the box. Of course, you can always get into this phone, you can root it, and strip out some of the applications that Motorola and Verizon put in it, and get it to run faster. But this is a phone that's right out of the box, and it got a quadrant score of 1504. So you can imagine what it could ultimately get if you really wanted to set up the performance to be maximized. And this is in a phone that is streamlined for business applications with the QWERTY keyboard. As you look at that keyboard, as I move it around the lights, you can see that the keys to the left are sloped down toward the left. The keys on the right are sloped down toward the right. That gives you a little bit of a tactile feel. If you're familiar with using a BlackBerry, you'll get the hang of using this in no time at all. If you're not familiar using a BlackBerry, well, the good news is that this puts a pretty decent keyboard on the screen if you want an on-screen keyboard. And it's pretty easy to use the on-screen keyboard just as you would in any other Android phone. These keys, the on-screen keys, are actually nice big fat boxes that I can get my fat fingers in there. My thumbs are actually pretty good sized thumbs. So this is actually a fairly good phone. I've made a couple of calls on it and had decent call response as well. I've listened to some music and videos on it, and they played pretty nicely as well. In fact, I think I'm going to wrap this up by demonstrating a YouTube video, so I'll be back in a moment to show that. Okay, I called up a video on YouTube of Natasha Bedingfield performing with the Muppets. I'm going to go ahead and get that rolling. It'll take a little time to get it rolling, but this will show you that right out of the box, this displays a very nice resolution image. Many other Android phones come up with a fairly ratty looking low resolution image when you go to YouTube, but this guy puts a pretty nice screen up there. There you get some example of what that is like. I'll turn the volume up. So that's Natasha Bedingfield performing with the Muppets at a concert about a year and a half ago here in Washington, D.C. So, hey, this is Bob here at Wirefly. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Motorola Droid Pro. I'm glad you stopped by.